everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Wow, it's going to be a good night tonight. I can feel it. I can feel it. Good discussion coming up ahead. So glad you can join us tonight. Look, the intro's working. That's a good sign. My computer's coming next week. It's been shipped apparently. It has left the factory. Hello everyone. Let's start, hey? Yeah. So glad you are here with us today, everyone. Nice to see you all on the chat there. Hello, hello. Wow, what a night we've got ahead of us. So much to talk about tonight. We are talking about the future fuels strategy, which the federal government announced this week, and amid lots of controversy about what was actually announced. So we can't wait to get into that discussion and maybe give a few of our own thoughts as well, of course. Let's have just a quick hello to everyone who's joined us tonight on live. I can see Scott there. Scott says the soccer's on tonight. Hopefully we can get some of those football fans onto the live stream tonight, just away from the screens for a bit. Maybe two screens. Have it one on each screen. Hey, Gaffer, hello, Gaffer. Nice to see you there. And I can see Greg there. Hello, Greg. Need an option. I don't care. This government will be voted out next election, Greg says. And yeah, we can see a few of our members tonight. We've got Aaron Blair. Hello, Aaron. Nice to see you there. And Riz says, hi everyone from Melbourne. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. I can't show you my channel emojis, but if you look on the chat, obviously you'll see my custom emojis there. Riz is, of course, demonstrating the channel perks there with the emojis. Let me just show you quickly what I mean by that. So if you would like to become a channel member, there is a join button there. And all you need to do is press join, and you can see that channel membership. There are 3 levels, and someone actually just told me that I need to change my standard range membership to something else because Model 3 is now no longer called standard range. Maybe I should leave it because standard range is an homage to what it used to be. So it starts from $3.99 a month, long range is $6.99, and performance is $9.99 a month. I've got quite a few performance members actually. That's probably the most popular membership, and you get the use of the loyalty badges, which you can see in the live chat there, and exclusive emojis as well, which you've also seen. And long-range members get priority replies during the live streams when the chat goes crazy. And performance members get exclusive member-only polls as well to help improve the channel. So there you go. Just press that join button and you'll see what I mean in terms of membership. And I just want to also quickly shout out if you are willing to support us in other ways. We've got Super Chat. We've got channel memberships, of course. Super Chat allows you to put your comment or sticker, and I'll see it definitely when the chat goes off and there's lots of comments there. Your comment will stay longer. And of course, you can also support us using PayPal at Tesla Tom, as well as crypto. Those details are also in the video description as well. Yeah, so much to chat about. If you've just joined us there, hello and welcome. Leave a comment in the live chat there. Tell me where you're watching from. And tonight's question is, what EV incentives would you like to see introduced in Australia to encourage the uptake of electric vehicles in this country? Indeed, so that's the question we're asking tonight. Let's take some more comments here. We've got Michael Colonelly saying the future of heavy road vehicle fuel is in solid hydrogen. Discuss. Ooh. Yeah, that's going to be a hot topic as well. So yeah, let's see what you guys think about that from Michael. Yeah, we've got... oh, Riz is tuning in from his Model 3. That's great, Riz. Nice to see you there, Riz. Always good to have you there. One of our members there. Pen to Paper, also a member. Hello from WA. Hope incentives come quickly to WA before I order my Model Y. Yeah, unfortunately, WA is one of those states that doesn't actually have any incentives at the moment. Yeah. Scott McGregor, take the blank pages out. FFS, yeah. FFS is the future fuels strategy, of course, but I think hashtag FFS is currently what's trending at the moment on social media. Charles, nice to see you there. Hello, Charles. Charles is one of our members. Paul, good evening, Tom, everyone, from Jerem Bombera, New South Wales. A wet night tonight. Yeah, wet night here in Sydney as well. Gaffer, okay, left iPad and joined on the PC. I feel I'll be typing a lot on this one. Yeah, I think a lot of people will be as well. Yeah, Gaffer's definitely serious. He's going to be typing. Good. Yeah, Tesla fanboy, that's the one. Yep, Tesla removes standard range, membership name should be changed. Yeah, we shall see, Tesla fanboy. I'll have a look tonight after the live stream. Thank you, Scott. Scott's one of our supporters. Like, comment, subscribe, or join the club. Do it all. Yeah, totally. We've got Noz Wonky from the Blue Mountains. Hello there. Gazam, Brisbane, solar-assisted EV charging, all green power. Fantastic. Well, let's... I might actually just share this screen here. I just wanted to read this article just to get us in the mood about the future fuels strategy, which the federal government announced this week. So let's get that up here. And then we can set the scene about what we're talking about tonight. Let's do that right now. Okay, so let's make this a bit bigger so we can see that. Here we go. You guys can read that. Ooh. Good. Okay, so yeah, feel free to jump in with your comments, of course, anytime during this reading. And yeah, I want to hear all your comments, all your opinions, whether it be for or against or whatever it is. It's an open forum, and we've got a poll at the moment running there. You can see in the live chat. I've got in November 2021, the Australian government is doing enough to encourage the uptake of electric vehicles, and we've got 44 votes currently, and the strongly disagree bunch camp is winning. Over 50%. So 52% of people disagree with that statement, strongly disagree. Currently 23% disagree, 11% agree, and 14% strongly agree. Okay, there's quite a few agree there. And if you did tick or press agree, please tell me why you did so in the comments. I'd love to hear both sides of the story there. All right, let's read this article together. So ABC News, government commits to expanding electric vehicle charging stations, but no subsidies to increase uptake. This was posted Monday, so about 3 days ago. That's when the FFS came out, Future Fuel Strategy. The Prime Minister says he will not be doing anything to force Australians into electric cars as the government announces its new strategy for zero emissions vehicles. Instead, the federal government will partner with the private sector to fund 50,000 charging stations in Australian homes in a bid to encourage more people to buy electric vehicles. The long-awaited Future Fuels strategy does not include subsidies, tax incentives, sales targets, or minimum fuel emission standards that would make electric vehicles more affordable, though, according to industry groups. However, it is a pivot from the government's 2019 assertion that Labor's electric vehicle policy was a war on the weekend. Prime Minister Scott Morrison said he had no problem with electric vehicles, but he opposed governments telling people what to do. Mr. Morrison said customers should be able to lead the pace of change to electric vehicles, but his government would make sure the infrastructure was there to support them. Reducing the total cost of ownership through subsidies would not represent value for the taxpayer, particularly as industry is rapidly working toward technological developments to make battery electric vehicles cheaper, the government's strategy said. It aligns with the technology, not taxes mantra that underpins the government's broader approach to emissions reductions. The strategy includes expanding the Future Fuels Fund to a total of $250 million of taxpayers' funds, which the government estimates will create 2,600 jobs over 3 years. It does not say exactly how or where those jobs will be created, but does point to employment opportunities through supply chains and manufacturing needed to sustain an electric vehicle market. The government argues this investment will help ensure companies do not concentrate charging stations in the city areas, which may dissuade people in outer suburban or rural areas from purchasing an electric vehicle. There's a picture of Scott Morrison there. Presumably, it looks like he's actually fueling a hydrogen cell vehicle, I think. That doesn't look like an EV socket to me. I could be wrong. We will not be forcing Australians out of the car that they want to drive or penalising those who can least afford it through bans or taxes, Mr. Morrison said. Instead, the strategy will work to drive down the cost of low and zero-emission vehicles and enhance consumer choice. The federal government will ask state and territory energy ministers to incentivise the use of smart chargers in homes and work with energy regulators to ensure the electricity grid can handle more batteries. All right, so some key points so far from what I've read. The strategy does not include subsidies or tax incentives to increase uptake of EVs. Increased funding for charging infrastructure is expected to create 2,600 jobs over the next 3 years, and the government says improved battery technology will be the key to lowering the cost of EVs. Well, I guess, look, there are some good points there, but obviously what is not stated in this policy is what is getting people riled up at the moment. So let's take some comments here. Scott says, price and range parity with ICE is what a lot of people are waiting for. Yeah, I would say so as well. Yep, price is a big deal there. I've got Steam Train Mark from Caboolture. Hello there, Steam Train Mark. Nice to see you. Greg says, removing luxury car tax, we no longer have any car industry would be a good start. Yep, I also agree with that one. Yep, Riz says should have gone a long time ago. Yep, EV incentives. Tesla fanboy, I would like to see a $10,000 EV credit here in Australia, something like the USA. Scott says, I love how Toyota had their fuel cell vehicle on show, but where is their pure EV? Yeah, they did announce that recently, didn't they? Greg says, when countries have an EV rebate subsidies, who gets the money? The customer or the car manufacturer? That's also a good point. Haris says, why would they want to ruin our weekend? Gaffer says, I don't want to point down any move to support EVs by our government, but it's disingenuous. 6-month lead up to election and polls have told Scotty he backed the wrong horse. Yeah, I probably have to say it's true to some point. The election is coming up, and he's good at reading the room, Scott Morrison, so he can see where we're slowly heading towards. Yeah, I would say that's true as well. Scott says, I'm glad I'm in New South Wales. The states certainly need to lead this. New South Wales are having a fair go at it. Yep, good point, Scott. In fact, I've got an article from Sydney Morning Herald. I think the New South Wales government has actually signed with the COP26 agreement about EVs, and I'll go through that article as well. With Treasurer Matt Keane, who's quite keen, literally, on focusing on EVs and renewables, for sure. Michael says, the tech, not taxes, and the 250 mil is just a rehash of the hydrogen green economic stuff already announced. Tesla fanboy, charging stations, I would like to see the charging speeds of at least Tesla V3 chargers. Yep, that's also a good point. I do agree with what's announced, that we do need more charging stations. So at least that's something there, that charging stations are, on the pipeline for sure. Greg Wilson says $250 million from the feds. The Victorian government is spending $550 million this year on bushfire preparedness. Just shows you how pitiful this attempt is. Yeah, Greg, that's a good sort of comparison to how much money that actually is. That's good. Nice to see that there, Greg. So thank you very much. Yes, Goma was refilling a Toyota Mirai. Yes, I thought so. Thank you for that, George. Charles says, there are many things that could do that don't necessarily mean administering an incentive rebate scheme. Just changing the LACT threshold to something like 150k would help. Yeah, that's a good point, Charles. Maybe taking the tax away is potentially not a good thing for optics, but yeah, increasing it completely for EVs would be a good thing. I think that's a good point. Riz has got just a question here. So quick question for Tesla peeps. Is the Gen 3 wall connector considered a smart charger according to ScoMo? Good question there. Charles, although that doesn't help with EVs in the 40 to 60,000 range, which don't pay LCTs. Yep, good point there. Scott says, I think incentives do need to go directly to the consumer. I also tend to agree. And Gaffer says they do need carrot and stick incentives to help buy, afford EV and proper emissions standards to disincentivize ICE. What do you guys think about Scott Morrison, his drive, saying he doesn't want to do anything to force Australians into electric vehicles as the government announces its new strategy for zero emissions vehicles? He is good at reading the room, Scott Morrison. There's still a lot of people I speak to that are worried that they won't be able to drive a petrol car anymore in 10 years' time. So I guess that's what he's pushing. He doesn't want that voter base to leave him. What do you guys think about that? Andrew Files, although I personally would like government taxpayer funding to help purchase another EV, it is not fair to people who can't afford an EV. That's also a good point from Andrew. So the money would have to come from somewhere, so taxpayers' dollars to help fund the incentives, etc. Congo Bongo, I don't believe luxury car tax should be removed for EVs as it would just help higher income earners save on tax. There are plenty of EVs coming that are cheaper than $78,000. Yep, that's another point of view there. Thank you, Congo. Yep. Something like removing import tax for EVs under $80,000, I believe, would be more suitable. Yeah. Let's keep going with this article here. There's a comparison made to what's happening around the world at the moment. So how does the strategy compare with other countries? All right. So the government strategy is notably different when compared to other nations. More than 80% of the more than 80% of the global car market, including Europe and the United States, now require new cars to meet minimum emissions standards before they can be sold. The strategy released on Monday confirms Australia does not plan to adopt these standards, which would require more stringent restrictions on pollutants in petrol and require new cars to emit far less particulate matter than currently allowed. In August, US President Joe Biden outlined a 50% sales target by 2030. Several other nations, including Austria, China, Denmark, the Netherlands, Portugal, Korea, and Spain, have also announced targets. Many nations have also announced tax concessions or subsidies to lower the price of electric vehicles, which are currently too expensive for many people. France has one of the most generous schemes, which recently offered a discount of around $18,000 on a new electric vehicle if you traded in a petrol or diesel car. Wow, that's very generous, $18,000. Federal Labor has pledged to cut government taxes on non-luxury electric vehicles, which is estimated to make a $50,000 car about $2,000 cheaper. The policy would cost $200 million over 3 years. Okay, let's get into Labor's in a second, Labor's policy. I just want a quick shout out to Paul. Paul has become a new YouTube member, so thank you very much, Paul, for joining the membership there. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Welcome to the club, Scott says. Lots of benefits to membership there. Thank you for that. All right, we've got Ben saying, based on the uptake speed of EVs, we need faster chargers in order to stop the EV charging congestion that is happening in the States, US, now especially in the state of California, where people wait ages. Yep, we definitely need more faster chargers, for sure. Like I have experienced a bit of it this week when I haven't had the luxury of having my home charger at home. This is where our driveway's being renovated or dug up and redone. So I've had to actually rely on chargers outside of home, and with the Ioniq 5 that Hyundai kindly lent me, I've had to use third-party chargers. Look, Tesla chargers, fantastic, like Macquarie Centre, which is near my place, 10 superchargers, but unfortunately some of these fast chargers from third parties, there's only 2. So if for some whatever reason you rock up, which I did one day, and there was myself and then waiting, and there were both chargers used, you are potentially waiting for an hour. So that's a fantastic point. I think we definitely need more chargers in locations, not just 2. I think 2 is like absolute bare minimum. So that's a really good point there. Yep. Charles says charging stations are a good investment since they benefit those who already own EVs. Must be so annoying to take delivery, only to have an incentive announced the next day. Yeah, that does tend to happen, Charles, unfortunately, doesn't it? It's happened quite a bit. Do monitor that situation. So look, you're buying into a new technology, that kind of thing can happen, unfortunately. I just want to also now read... the statement from the Electric Vehicle Council, because that kind of tells you where we're at the moment with regards to what the industry is feeling about the future fuels strategy. Let's read what industry says about that announcement. So this has been written by the Electric Vehicle Council of Australia. They are an advocacy group for industry, for EVs in Australia. So let's see what their response is. So, future fuels a fizzer. Government strategy misses opportunity to electrify Australian transport. The federal government's long-awaited future fuels strategy ignores the most important and effective measures to improve electric vehicle uptake, according to the Electric Vehicle Council. The strategy will support and accelerate the rollout of some charging infrastructure. However, it does not include subsidies, tax incentives, or sales targets. Crucially, it also fails to deliver minimum fuel efficiency standards, which have been used in the US and Europe for decades. Fuel efficiency since efficiency standards require car manufacturers to sell vehicles where they combine a level of emissions below a defined benchmark, encouraging the sale of zero emissions vehicles. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think we do need fuel efficiency standards in this country, because that just boils down to the fact that if we don't, I think eventually we will become a quote-unquote dumping ground for just really dirty cars in this country, which we do not want, of course. There's no sugarcoating it. Future fuels is a fizzer, Mr. Jafari said. Bayat Jafari, CEO of EV Council. If it contained fuel efficiency standards and rebates, it would give Australians more choice. The best and most affordable EVs manufacturers are producing would make their way swiftly onto our market. Fuel efficiency standards are the absolute bare minimum of what you would expect in any 21st century plan. If Australia continues to be one of the only developed nations without fuel efficiency standards, then we will continue to be a dumping ground for the world's dirtiest vehicles. Yep, I just said that, didn't I? It's sadly that simple. Future Fuels is certainly an advance on the government's rhetoric of the last election. The strategy has identified some of the correct benefits and pathways, but it does little to realise them. I welcome the progress we've seen, but it's far too little too late. For a strategy that has apparently taken years to write, it leaves much to be desired. Electric vehicles represents a monumental opportunity for Australia, not only in reducing pollution, but creating an innovative industry in manufacturing, technology, and services. The sector will continue to urge the government to take appropriate actions that get more vehicles to Australia and on our roads. It's a shame this government doesn't have the same ambition for Australians that the electric vehicle industry does. Well written there, and well quoted by Behat Jafari, the CEO of the EV Council of Australia. And I think he does represent what a lot of us are thinking about this recent policy written by the federal government. Look, this is the federal government's policy, but as I'll talk about a bit later on, there's actually, a lot of the states and territories in Australia have actually, I guess not gone against, but they've gone a bit further ahead and done more within each individual state. And in fact, the New South Wales government has signed on to the COP26 Glasgow Summit's EV target as well. They've actually signed on, which the federal government didn't, and I'll go through that a bit later on as to what the New South Wales government actually did in the article from the Sydney Morning Herald. Let's take some more comments here. So, after online, we need an EV manufacturing industry in this country. That's where the government needs to get involved with tax incentives for Tesla to build a gigafactory here. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice, having a Tesla gigafactory in Australia? That would certainly get our Model Ys in on our roads quicker. Scott says, yes, I think of all the raw materials we have here and the potential to access so many renewables to power production. So true. Gaffer says, Tom, I think it's important to move sooner than later. I worry about the business crash, mechs, service stations, etc. If we move early, these people can change jobs with dignity. And also, I think, having a signal, then at least people can plan, right? I don't know if the government is giving the people of Australia enough credit to adapt and to be agile enough to switch roles and learn new skills. Yeah, I mean, they're kind of, I don't know what it is actually. Yeah, that's a good point, that Gaffer. Good point. George, serious debating Sophie says, Elon Musk is thinking about a gigafactory here in Australia. Scott says, yeah, I heard that rumor, but I would have thought the economics wouldn't work for them, but who knows, big business moves in mysterious ways to me. And and Charles says, Mike Cannon Brooks spruiked the idea last week, but there's no plans from Tesla. Boo. Hi Tesh, do we know the future of fuel stations in 10 to 20 years' time? Surely their strategy will include supercharging stations. Imagine that. I actually read an article in the Financial Review today about fuel stations about to experience their Kodak moment. Actually, I think EV is partnering with, is it Caltex? There are some EV DC charging stations already in Caltex service stations as well. So hopefully we see more of that. And I think EV actually, EVIE partnered with Hungry Jacks. Let's have a look at that. EV Hungry Jacks deal. Let me show you that article. I believe I read that. Yes, I did. Here we go. Let's have a look. This is actually pretty good. This is what I've been sort of hoping someone would be doing. One of the DC third-party companies would be doing, and that's sorry. And that's adding charges to fast food outlets. So look, I'm not advocating fast food, but if you want to quickly stop somewhere, the fast food chain is probably the best place to put a DC fast charger. So it's actually funded by the Australian government, by the Australian Renewable Energy Arena. EV's planning 400 strong network. Planned 400 strong network aims to service outer suburbs, etc. Here we go. Where does it say? So in Campbelltown in Sydney's southwest, at the Hungry Jack's, there's an EV networks charger there. That's great. Look at this. EV has a number of rapid stations that can charge at a rate of 450. I thought they were only 350. Have to look into that. That's faster than I thought. So that's the EV network at the moment. So 316 sites are in the pipeline, 90 in Sydney and surrounds. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, I think not just Hungry Jack's, but I think other fast food outlets could benefit. Let's be honest, people do stop at fast food restaurants on their road trips, and I think a DC fast charger like this makes a lot of sense to pop one there for sure. Adrian says, I would rather buy an EV over an ICE car anyway if I get the chance, and I think more people should. Thank you for that. Paul McFawn, I agree with the EVC comment on this about the federal government program. It is the states and territories taking the lead on EV incentives. Scotty from sales paying lip service to try to win votes. Thank you, Paul, for that comment. Let's have a look at the poll at the moment. So 75 votes in. Thank you everyone who's voted in. We've got 55% saying strongly disagree, 23% disagree, 9% agree, 13% strongly agree. If you said strongly agree or agree, make sure you leave a comment and tell me why you did. Tell me why you think it's enough at the moment, what the federal government has announced. Scott McGregor, train your mechanics in handling HV batteries. They can do everything else. I think so, Scott. That's kind of what I was saying. I think people don't give, the government doesn't give people enough credit. I think people will pivot if they have a signal from the federal government. They know they can switch, for sure. Greg says, any corporation with a car park with access to power becomes a fuel station. 100%, definitely. And yes, Ampol. So Ampol is a fuel service station chain. Yes, my local Ampol has 2 times 350 kilowatt charges. That's great. Good work there. Greg Wilson, fast food retail, for sure. Greg Wilson, there's no shipping and transport of fuel. And I guess that also lends weight to not using hydrogen for our, passenger fleet, really. I mean, maybe for long range, heavy duty shipping and maybe aviation even, and trains, hydrogen might be the way to go. But I think just passenger cars and like light commercial vehicles, I think EVs battery electric vehicles really are the way to go. Gaffer, charging stations are a much different beast to ICE fueling. They can go anywhere. I think we'll be seeing the end of the servo. Anyone can have them. Well, if not the end, hopefully they'll pivot. Hopefully they'll change to EV before they experience their Kodak moment. Peter, hello Peter, one of our viewers. I'm literally at Charge Fox Goulburn, no EV here. About to get stuck in Hungry Jack's. Peter's living the EV dream. Thanks, Peter. Greg says if they were smart, they would have app deals. Buy a Happy Meal and get 4 cents off charging. Yeah, I like that. That's a great deal. Charles says lots of errors in that Driven article. Yeah, so maybe it's just 350. Peter says it's a Cabramatta, not Campbelltown. Well, they're both in Sydney southwest, but Campbelltown is further out in the southwest. All right, Peter V. Hi, Peter. Here we go. The Fed's policy on EVs is a joke. The states have done more to encourage EV take-up. Remember, not so long ago, Scotty said EVs would ruin our weekend. Mine makes my weekend. Yeah, for sure, Peter. I love driving our EVs. Yep. All right. Speaking of states taking the lead, let's. I just want to show you this article as to what the New South Wales government has been doing one up over the federal government. Here we go. So, alright, so New South Wales government signed COP, Conference of Parties 26 agreement, bringing electric vehicle targets to the world stage. I think the ACT did this as well, and if your home state did this as well, please let me know. But as far as I know today, I read that the New South Wales and the ACT government signed on to COP 26. And by the way, I'm so glad Matt Keane is the New South Wales Treasurer now, because he was... Oh, okay, apparently this article says he's still the Environment Minister. I knew he was the Environment Minister before the Cabinet reshuffle. So the New South Wales Treasurer and Environment Minister, Matt Keane, says his government has signed a pledge with the United Nations Climate Change Conference, COP26, to boost electric vehicle sales, and says it is on track to make 50% of all new vehicles sold in the state electric by 2030. The three-page joint pledge with COP26, go away, says federal governments who sign will seek to work towards all sales of new cars and vans being zero emissions by 2040 or earlier, or by no later than 2035 in leading markets. The second part of the pledge, relevant to the regional governments and states, says they will convert their owned or leased car and van fleets to zero-emission vehicles by 2035 at the latest, as well as putting in place policies that will enable and accelerate the transition to zero-emission vehicles as soon as possible. Mr. Keane told Sky News that he had signed the document on Wednesday and was working with the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, DFAT, to get it formalised. DFAT approved New South Wales' document overnight Thursday. Yay. Because of the policies we have put in place, we are already on target to meet those ambitious targets set by COP. In fact, we'll have 50% of all new cars sold in New South Wales being electric by 2030. Alright, that's in 10 years' time. The COP electric vehicles pledge is one that the UK, as the host country, because it's currently in Glasgow, Scotland, pulled together. DFAT has been contacted for comment. Other states are also looking to sign the pledge. Road transport accounts for 10% of global emissions, and its emissions are rising faster than those of any other sector. In Australia, the transport sector is the second biggest source of greenhouse gas emissions after the energy industry. The New South Wales government announced on Wednesday it would spend $105 million to spur the uptake of electric vehicles among councils, tax companies and other fleet operators by offering to cover part of the extra costs over conventional vehicles. Hey, how good is that, right? So, if you need a fleet car, and I think there are tenders, which I'll read further down, they'll cover the cost. So I guess, you could have a fleet of Model 3s running around for your company or government agency. How good's that? Whereas you would normally buy a Camry, and hopefully they watch my Camry versus, or even Camry Hybrid versus Tesla Model 3 cost of ownership over 5 years. It makes sense, governments. Makes sense. The state has committed almost $600 million to drive the uptake of electric vehicles. Yes, proud New South Welshman, or New South Wales person here, because we do have the best rebates and incentives for EVs in the country. Go New South Wales. Early this year, the New South Wales government announced it would abolish stamp duty on electric vehicles and offer drivers other incentives to increase their uptake to ensure more than half of their new car sales by 2031 were electric. Mr. Keane's actions stands in contrast with that of the federal government, which has not made clear whether it will sign the pledge. They have not. Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced on Tuesday the federal government would boost investment in charging infrastructure, particularly in regional Australia, to help manage the transition towards a 1.7 million electrified national fleet. Look, I'm happy that they're doing that, the federal government, at least putting some money towards charging infrastructure. Something's better than nothing, I suppose. And hopefully the private sector will kick in as well with that boost. Mr. Keane said he was looking forward to working with his federal counterparts, but they could be doing more to support the electric vehicle industry. They can put up a lot more money to ensure that everyone can benefit from owning an EV. They can also do things like providing subsidies or waiving taxes for people who buy an electric vehicle. And by the way, in New South Wales, or mostly in Sydney, I guess, and other regional centres, you can actually drive in the transit lane T2, T3 if you've got an EV. I should probably do a video on that, shouldn't I? I drive in a transit lane in the morning peak hour just to see how much faster it is. Maybe do a race with someone who's in a nice car. Start from somewhere to somewhere. That'd be good. Brainstorming on the fly. What else we got? Waiving taxes for people who buy an EV, yes, which New South Wales has done. And the final thing they can do is look at tailpipe emission standards. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think we need that. That's something that was really missing in the federal government FFS, Future Fuel Strategy. We kind of do need that emission standard, minimum standards in Australia. That's something we are missing. He said on Sky News, "We want to ensure people are getting access to cheaper vehicles that are cheaper to run as well, and our policies are designed to do that." Great quotes by Matt Keane here. Well done, Matt. The motor industry has hit back at the federal government's new electric vehicle strategy, saying there were large gaps in the policy that need to be addressed. Domestic sales of electric cars have risen at record levels in the past 6 months amid state government incentives, but come off a very low base. New car sales data released in August showed 8,688 battery and plug-in electric vehicles was sold in the first half of 2021. I think Vita Prime last week when he was on told us that year to date 2021, 10,000 Teslas, same as previously prior to 2021. So that's great news that more Teslas are coming in the country. EV Council Chief Executive Bayat Jafari said New South Wales had recognised that once a car was sold, it stayed on the road for 15 to 20 years, and therefore reaching net zero by 2050 required action today. Yeah, good point. We see states like New South Wales taking the correct action and others that are wanting to reach that goal, whereas the federal government is still talking about it as if it's optional, Mr. Jafari said. New South Wales is investing more in its transition than every other government combined and leaves the federal government far behind. The Victorian government has a $100 million electric vehicle roadmap. Another point I want to make is that this great point about the fact that Matt Keane wants, where is it? About fleets. So he's saying he wants, further up here, where is it? Here we go. They want to convert their owned or leased car and van fleets to zero emissions by 2035 at the latest. That's great. And I think further up here too. Anyway, the point I want to make is that having fleet vehicles, people don't realize this, but if you've got a fleet vehicle as an EV, and governments and and private sector fleets, they do get changed quite a bit. So if you've got half your fleet as EVs and subsidized by the government, those EVs, when they're sold on the used car market, that'll help boost EVs as well for those who can't afford new or want a second hand for whatever reason, that are generally kept in good condition. That's really, really quite handy having that used car market bolstered by EVs. And as we know, Teslas and other EVs do last a lot longer, just because there's less moving parts as well. So yeah, great news by New South Wales government for sure. And Peter V, thank you, Peter, who has just joined as a YouTube member. Hello there, Peter. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate your support there. And hopefully you'll see the benefits soon. So thank you, Peter, for that. That's great. Let's get some more comments in. As I was reading that, I saw some more comments. Here we go. So Peter Cook says, EV got lots of government money to deploy charges at Ampol Caltex. I wonder if they'll have to repay it now that they've deployed hardly any of them. Or is it because they're taking their time, Peter? I suppose they're still scoping where to put them. Not sure. Scott agreed with me there. Passenger vehicles need to be EVs. Happy for consideration. Research into hydrogen for heavy vehicles and shipping, but EV for the masses. Yeah, for sure. I don't need a hydrogen car. I want an EV, 100%. Gaffer says, I'm amazed at how well my state, New South Wales, is doing with EV policy. Matt King just gets it. 100% Gaffer. I do agree with that as well. Congo Bungo, New South Wales government has my vote so far, but Federalis is embarrassing. Paul says, yes, ACT signed too, correct. Greg has a point about hydrogen here. Look at the price gouging with fuel now and the OPEC cartel. Hydrogen would be the same. Sadly, they would be. At least battery EVs puts the power back in the hands of the little people, that's us, choosing solar and cheap rates. Peter Cook, state governments can't sign international covenants. Dan Andrews signed up to China's Belt and Road initiatives. The feds literally, that's true actually, Peter, that's true. I remember that from a few years ago. Oh, last year even, yeah. That got him into a bit of trouble, didn't it? Riz, maybe if more politicians have access to EVs, then driving one may open their eyes and potentially make their weekends too, not ruin them. I think Matt Keane actually drives a Model 3 from memory. I've got a comment here from Paul. Let's scroll down here. Paul has bought a super comment. Thank you, Paul. I can see Tesla offering a fleet API for its cars and trucks in the near future. That'd be good. Thanks, Paul, for that comment. Yeah. So many comments, guys. You guys are awesome. Love this. This is why I do these live streams, to get your opinions. It's so good. So good. Let's see what else. Yep, Gaffer agrees. The 50% will be reached because of fleet's time. It's a great push. Get fleets switched to EVs, and that'll power the second-hand EV market. 100%. 100%. Peter Cook, Bill Shorten has a Tesla, but recently decided to fly to Armadale instead of driving. I wonder why. Also, EV fleets will get so many into an EV, butts on seats. It'll drive the uptake. That's true, yes. People who have to drive a fleet car, they'll have the opportunity to drive a Model 3 or any other EV. Paul, is 50% of new car sales going to be enough at that rate? How long will it take to replace all ICE vehicles 2050? Well, I suppose, 50% new car sales means some will trickle down into the used car markets, right? Albo, I forgot his first name now. Albanese owns a Tesla. Isn't that terrible? I forgot his first name. Someone will remind me. Albanese owns a Tesla, right? He should have driven to Armadale, not flown. We should still have them on the road, Scott says. All second-hand stock, no new sales. Greg Wilson, as much as we glow over Tesla, there are also lots of other great models. Ioniq 5, XC40, Polestar now. With people having more choices now, hopefully more people can experience and view them. Hopefully you guys have been watching my Ioniq 5 reviews. I've got a big one coming up. I did a full walk around and review. So yeah, that should be dropping in the next few days, hopefully. Scott says we do need emission standards, 100%. Otherwise we get crap cars here. Saying it like it is, that's true. Tesla fanboy, I think Elon said that Tesla supercharger network will expand by 3 times in the next few years. Yeah, I hope so too. Especially in Australia, we need more Tesla superchargers. Max Gill, test driving a Polestar next Friday. Yoo-hoo! Well done, Max. I'm hoping to get a press car for you guys to review. Got in touch with Polestar, so hopefully I'll be able to drive one. Yeah, Scott says, sounds awesome. Let us know how you go for sure. Yep, Vince says, yes, fleet, great for second-hand market. Yep. Gaffer, we need the EV charger highway to allow for the big lap up the middle. Once that's done, we will be less worried about that they can't see Australian one. Yeah, for sure. I would love to see that going up to Alice Springs and around Australia for sure. Beheaded, no environment policy, no sustainable power, no EV incentives, no ICE disincentives, no sales targets. Skoda getting some kickbacks from coal, oil, and petrol industry too, huh? Did you guys see the joint statement today by Biden and Xi, China and the US, saying they want to accelerate their targets? So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the Australian government respond with that, for sure. David, I loved your videos. Have made the video. Just wanted to know. Oh, thank you. Thanks, David. Vince, we should ban media ads for fossil fuel like Ampol, like they did for cigarettes. Oh, I agree, Vince. Coming from a health background, I really think they should push that for sure. The same way they pushed that for tobacco back in the, I suppose, starting from the 70s, really, 70s, 80s, 90s. Yeah, it's just, bad for your health. EVs, it's just not said because it's not brought to the forefront, but having fumes everywhere is not good for our lungs. For sure. Show what it does. Peter Cook says Ampol pulled out. EV likely can't deploy more chargers than Ampol. Okay. Nathan, strong comment about hydrogen. Hydrogen is a scam. They are trying to find a market to keep splitting methane to make it multiple times the electricity to go to the same distance to. Yeah. Hydrogen definitely is not as efficient as battery electric. I mean, it's got the range, I suppose. It's more dense, but yeah. For efficiency, you just can't beat battery electric. Let's have a look at the poll. 98 votes. Wow, that's awesome. 57% saying strongly disagree. 22% disagree. 8% agree. 12% strongly agree. So there's still a little camp here. 20% of people saying they agree, at least, with the policy. That's that it's enough in November 21, the Australian government, with the FFS policy. Interesting. Charles says, even if the EV Ampol deal is off, at least EV introduced Ampol to the benefits, and now both of them have big plans to install heaps of chargers. Yeah, exactly. Rob says, whoops, voted strongly agree instead of disagree. That's okay, Rob. My bad. Maybe others have done the same. Keep up the good work, Tom. Love your channel. Thank you, Rob. That's funny. Peter says, yes, there's a long way to go to produce hydrogen cheaply and in a green way. Thank you, Peter. Here we go. H2 Rider's got some numbers here. I'll leave up for you guys to see. You guys like the mug? Got it today, finally, from Spreadshirt. Just a quick plug. So if you want that mug and other merch, have a look. I've pinned that at the top of the chat there, so take a look at that. Tastes nice too. Nicer in that mug. H2 Rider, yeah, efficiency compared to battery electric 73%, hydrogen 22%, ice 13%. Yes, that's kind of what I had in my head as well. Thank you for that. Anthony, that's his name, Anthony Albanese. It's Anthony. Funny thing too is Josh Frydenberg owns, and what? He drives a Tesla too, does he? How funny is that? These closet Tesla drivers. That's hilarious. How does he sleep at night? He needs to do more for the government, doesn't he? From that point of view. Gaffer. Hydrogen will have an important role in a zero carbon future. Yes, just not with the person transport. Economics wins out. I do agree, Gaffer. I know some people don't want hydrogen at all, but I think it's got a role to play in long range transport, shipping, even passenger transport like planes, trains, ships. Charles says, it's no coincidence that Toyota was ranked the third most obstructionist company in the fight against climate change. And that's the company that Morrison used to announce his launch. Yeah, that's right. He was refueling a hydrogen car, wasn't he, from Toyota? What the heck? Question. ASFN. Used Model X or a new Model Y. Which would you have, assuming you want a 7-seater and a $100,000 budget? Thanks, Tom. I'd probably still go a Y, actually. You won't get an X for $100,000, even if it's used, I think, unless it's a really old X. I think you'd probably, if you got the 100K, I'd probably want newer tech. Just saying. And Greg agrees, Y any day. Model S and X are complex cars. The S and a 3 and Y keep it simple. Tesla fanboy, more chargers between highways so people will have less range anxiety. Yep, for sure. I was reading, Louise, hi Louise, nice to see you. I was reading the New South Wales government EV strategy. One of the notes in it says they will introduce a distance-based road charge of 2.5 cents per kilometre. This is not an incentive. That's true, Louise. That's not coming in until 2027 or when new car sales for EVs reach 30%. But that is in place of the fact that the stamp duty will be abolished. So they're swapping one for another, at least. Peter V about that joint statement. Yes, that joint statement from China and the US leaves ScoMo well and truly on his own now. He will be forced to take action. Surely he can't just keep going. He's got to be more proactive than that. ASFN. We've got a sticker here. Thank you for that, ASFN. I can see that in the chat. Thumbs up. I can't show it on the screen, unfortunately. Sorry. But thank you for that. Appreciate that sticker. So if you want to leave a comment like that, guys, go ahead. Do that. Like what ASFN did. Oh, so many comments. Oh, let me find one. If you want your comment to be shown, guys, you know what to do. Peter Cook. Sleepy Joe, maybe. Biden doesn't know what day it is. He literally sold himself in the Vatican. Oh, poor Joe. I'm not sure he can be taken seriously. Thanks, Peter. Scott, yep, they're very focused on it. That's for sure. I get the economics. I just don't see hydrogen being better as a passenger vehicle for consumers. I have to agree, Scott. If I have to change to hydrogen, I don't see much point, to be honest, because I'm still fueling somewhere. The whole benefit of having a BEV is to be able to charge at home. By the way, I got in touch with someone today, a company that's asked my opinion on booking an EV spot. What do you guys think about that? Being able to book an EV spot so you don't get iced. And they have got physical bollards, or their plans is to have physical bollards blocking these EV spots unless you sign up with them and unlock it. Would that help the icing issue? And would that help with anxiety as well? Because you know you've got a charging spot coming up that's blocked specifically for you. Yeah, I thought that was a good idea, actually. See what you guys think. Charles Gregory, did you hear about the biofuel chargers across the Nullarbor? South Australian and Western Australian governments have fast charging networks planned, but they leave a 700-kilometre gap in the middle. Yeah, that's a big gap, isn't it? Peter, is the mug Tesla cup holder friendly? I think it is. It's a pretty standard mug. Definitely fit in the cup holder, but I should do a test, shouldn't I? It's a nice design there. I like that. Cheers. Charles says, WA EV owners have successfully lobbied the owner of 2 roadhouses in the middle to install 50-kilowatt chargers that run on waste cooking oil. How good's that, right? Gaffer, if you have a chance and want to understand about where hydrogen fits into a zero-carbon future, you can't go past Michael Liebrich out of the UK. He's done a lot of work to explain it. Thank you, Gaffer. I might take a look at that myself. Greg, pretty sure most petrol stations now make more money off selling energy drinks and food inside the store. You think with their buying power, they could make a good margin on power. Yeah, I mean, look at the petrol price now, right? I know in Sydney, like, we're looking at 170 cents a litre now. I'd like to see more lounges, like EV charging lounges, where you can chill for like 20 minutes. By the way, preconditioning Tesla Model 3 is like, wow, that's fast. That gets a charge really quick, almost too quick. Joy and I had lunch the other day at Macquarie while charging the Model 3, and we had to rush back to the car because it was too quick. That's the thing. It's almost too quick. But no, I shouldn't say that. You should charge and then have lunch maybe next time. But yeah, it's kind of that, yeah, what do you do, right? It's 20-25 minutes to get to the charge you need. Yeah, charging. People still get very surprised when I tell them it's actually pretty quick. Quicker than you think on a road trip. Tesla Electron, we don't manufacture, so eventually most Aussies will go EV. Yeah, hydrogen only makes sense for large freight trucks, trains, ships, 100%. Hi Tesh, have you got your new Mac M1 Pro MacBook, Tom? Not yet, but it has shipped. It has left the factory in China, and it's coming. It's coming. 17th of November, they said, and the Apple products generally come sooner than that. So hopefully, I'll have the next Thursday's live stream using my MacBook Pro. Can't wait. I can't wait. Let's see any other comments here. Oh, it's going past me. I wanted to read one, but just flicked past. That's why I need super comments, guys. Okay, here's one from Peter V, one of our members, new members too. Thanks, Peter. When the EV uptake rises, we will. It's like a robot rising. EV rise, uptake rise, uprising. We will mostly be charging at home, or you may face large waits at public chargers. Still a long way off, though. Yeah, I think in an ideal situation, home charging, public chargers for what do you call it? Road trips. Nathan, I think the money spent on booking EV bollards could just install more chargers instead. Yep, also true. Charles, booking a charging spot only makes sense for hotels, etc. For anywhere else, it makes EVs more complicated and unattractive to your new owners. Okay, fair enough. H2 Rider, refueling stations for H2 hydrogen are very expensive. Olivia Valley, hydrogen for private transport is a scam. Fossil fuel industry just want to sell methane. Yep, I've heard that as well. Hydrogen is still green hydrogen is still expensive. Getting your Model 3 wrapped, beheaded. Well done. Olivia, green hydrogen for green steel production, heavy shipping, and aviation makes sense only when we have super abundance of energy. Check out Tony Sieber on this topic. Thank you for that, Olivia. Peter says, I was at a Newcastle charger on Saturday night. Peter does live in the Hunter, Newcastle region. 4 spots, and one of the chargers was out of action, so it was down to 2 spots. Then someone iced one of the working spots, so it's down to 1. Yeah, I mean, we need to think of a solution for that, don't we? Bollards could be a good thing for that reason. 50 kilowatt DC is perfect at supermarkets. Yeah, I possibly, yeah, I suppose so, Peter. Maybe half hour to 40 minutes. That's probably enough, I suppose, for a quick shop. Visit once or twice a week. No off-street parking. No worries. Yeah, 50. I think 50 is a good option. 50 is good for like lunch, maybe. But we need more. Like, if you're going to do 50, you need to have like 4. Absolute minimum. So NRMA, if you're watching, or ChargeFox or EV, 4 chargers. Like, dead set minimum. Olivier, BV is the best way for individuals. When you have solar on your roof, it is almost zero cost to fill up. Who wants to go to a petrol station to fill up 100%? Nathan, there's enough things to break without bollards too. Are they still got bollards? Are really the traps that come up? Would you still call them bollards? They look pretty sturdy. Wouldn't want to mess that with your car, I suppose. Riz, apparently for GM is going to install 40,000 chargers across the US over the coming years. The tide is changing. Tide is changing for sure. Absolutely. I'm so glad that things are happening. Which part of the S curve do you guys think we're on? Which are we still at the bottom? What do you guys think? I think in Australia we're probably still cruising the bottom. We're looking at the top. We're looking at the up curve, but getting there. Let's have a look at the poll update on the poll. Thanks for voting, guys. 111 votes. That's awesome. In November 2021, the Australian government is doing enough to encourage the uptake of electric vehicles. 57% of you said you strongly disagree. 25% of you disagree. 7% say you agree, and 11% say you strongly disagree. We've already had one person admit that they clicked on strongly agree accidentally, so the numbers are exaggerated as well. So yeah, there you go. The vast majority of you don't agree with the current policy. That more can be done for sure. Let's see. Paul McFawn. I see in Norway, Bjorn's channel. How good's Bjorn? You guys try and get Bjorn on my live streams. Love to chat with him. That loads of petrol stations are removing pumps and putting in EV chargers. They are undercover, access to food and drink, widescreen cleaning, etc. It's good. You know, pre-COVID, I was actually planning to go to Norway for a bit of a field trip, just a bit of research to see what they're doing. But yes, 2020, we know what happened there. But yeah, hopefully I can visit Norway one day and see what they're doing over there. That'd be great. Olivier, I visited a Dan Murphy's which had a ChargeFox 50 kilowatt DC charger, which is free. This is the future. It's good. I don't know if they should be free. Probably won't be in the future, but maybe free to encourage people to use it. But yeah, I think there should be more though. I don't mind paying. I just don't like the fact that sometimes you just don't know if it's being used or not, especially the NRMA ones. We need to have four per site, guys and girls who are making decisions like that. Just saying, especially on like hot, busy periods. Greg Wilson asks, how low do people let their battery get before charging on average? I let mine get to 10%. I actually top up every night if I can, just because sometimes I'm just worried I don't know what I'm doing the next day if I need to drive a bit longer. At the moment, because I don't have a home charger, probably 10%, probably a bit low, probably 20 for me. Get a bit nervous below 20, especially with my Model S. It's got a smaller range. Good question though. Nathan says we need to write to local councils to get on-street EV charging, parking and charging options, as many do not have off-street parking. That's very true. Especially as urban living becomes more dense. I think we need to see more EV chargers off-street. Question for everyone. Did you see the Rivian IPO today? What do you guys think? Yeah, Rivian's very valuable now, isn't it? High price there. Yeah, Paul, with regards to my question of the S-curve, we're at the bottom of the curve with 30 years to go before 100% replacement. Whoa, 30 years, what's that? 2050. Hopefully my lifetime. Olivia Valley, Tom, it would be interesting to see how the New Zealand incentives for zero-emission vehicles is going and how they use a tax stick on ICE. I'm not too familiar with that, Olivia. I'll have to look that up myself before I comment on that. Greg, I think a lot of new EV owners think they are like a phone and always need to keep it charged, myself included. I don't know. I like it, the feeling, and I like telling people that I can drive out of my garage every day with a full charge. Anyway, Riz says 20%. Thank you, Riz. Tesla fanboy, oops, I didn't realize you can't change your vote. Also, the YouTube icons and options are small, so you may make a mistake. That's okay, Tesla fanboy. I think you're not alone there. That's okay. I just assume that the numbers are skewed. It's just a bit more skewed towards agree, whereas more people actually disagree. Name some suburbs outside the inner city where most homes are terraces, cottages, or flats without off-street parking. Cronulla comes to mind. Does Chatswood count? Chatswood's kind of not inner city. Lots of apartments there. I guess Parramatta in Sydney. That's becoming, becoming more urbanised. Epping is another one. Strathfield. That's not really in a city. Homebush Bay, it's getting busier too. Even Castle Hill. There you go. Lots of sort of pockets around Sydney, like that. Yeah, Greg makes a good point. Does not help when everyone says always be charging. That's fine at home, but only charge when you're out if you need to. Yeah, I have to agree with you, Greg. If obviously this week I have to because I don't have my driveway, but normally I don't take a charging spot in a shopping center. I leave it for people who don't have that luxury, have a charger at home. So I think that's good form as well. If you don't need to charge, don't charge. So don't feel like it's a personal charging spot. Yeah, great point. Most common question I get: how far can you go? How long to charge? And where can you charge? More public chargers still need 100%. I plug in every night at home, says Paul, and so do I when I can. Olivia, there's no harm in charging every day. NCA or NCM chemistry is best to charge to 80%, while LFP can charge to 100%. So for those of you who don't know, LFP is the base Model 3. I almost wanted to call it standard range, but it's the base Model 3. Whereas long range performance is NCA/NCM. Thank you. Tom, can we contribute to the channel via Riven shares? Oh, I don't think so, Riz. Unless you really want to buy shares for me. But you can use crypto if you want. Sorry. Yep, Scott says charge to 80% every night. And I know Scott owns a MG ZSEV, so thank you, Scott. Peter V, I've plugged in at home on a standard PowerPoint. 9 hours of charging, 12 cents per kilowatt hour. Gave me 150 Ks of range for 250. Great work. Great work. Got a sticker here from... I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Sajitha Goddage, $2.99. Thank you for that. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Peter was clarifying new apartment blocks don't count. They all have basement parking. I'm talking about old pre-1960s flats and cottages. Okay, in that case, not many, Peter. Not many outside the inner city. We're talking Paddington, Surrey Hills, those kind of places in Sydney. Paul says, I agree that at the moment NRMA charges at 1 times per regional town. No alternative option if not working. Agreed. So you need to plan a reserve to get to the next charger just in case. That does worry me, that NRMA's only got 1 or 2 per town like that. We need more. Yeah, just quickly about Rivian. Rivian now valued more than Ford. How many cars have rolled off the line? Not many, eh? Not many at all. James Yang, maybe people can help James here. What other home charging options are available other than $750 Tesla wall charger? Any high amp power outlet like those in the US? Please explain. James, have a look at my video. I did one on the UMC compatible 5-pin 3-phase tail. That's a bit cheaper. You still got to get an electrician to come in to install a 3-phase outlet or some sort of outlet for that 5-pin tail for your home. But it is cheaper than a Tesla wall charger. That's only about $150, I think. So have a look at that. And other chargers like Zappi, EO, Jet Charger's got a few options as well. So yeah, lots of options there. All right, here's another question. I ordered SR Plus, base Model 3 2 weeks ago. Tesla said it's coming in 3 weeks' time. Can you explain how you paid your final amount to Tesla? Depending how you finance your cars at Ether. So they'll issue an invoice very soon to you when the car is almost ready for delivery, basically. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, if you've taken a car recently, when we took delivery, you've got to actually transfer the money via direct deposit. If you trade it in, then just transfer via the balance as well. So there you go. You should be getting your invoice very soon. Jeff Newport, big drive across Melbourne today. Never seen so many Teslas. Gaffer, I charge 80% and leave it for as long as I can to take it down to 40%. Then it's time to charge up again. 100% for planned trips. Great work, Gaffer. Great plan there. James, single phase power. That's fine, no problem. That tail I was talking about was actually it only works single phase anyway. It looks like a 3-phase socket plug, but it's the UMC only supports single phase anyway, so it doesn't matter. You'll get 7 kilowatts. Yeah, Peter V mentioned something about email interception. So be very careful that the email has come from Tesla. So that was in the news a couple of years ago, I think. So just verify with Tesla if you're concerned that the email did come from them. Louise, does it hurt the battery if you only charge it once per week? No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't at all. Oh, HG Rider, new high-rise developments are required to have power outlets for EV charging in my area. That's great. I wonder if Brent Clark from OptiWatt was involved with that. Sorry, with Wattblock was involved with that. That's great. All right, guys. Well, we might leave it there. Hey, what do you think? I think we've exhausted. Well, not exhausted, but we've certainly chatted a lot about the federal government's future fuels strategy tonight. We talked about the fact that, yes, they're investing in... I might just call this up, so we've just got a summary. Summary, one sec, guys. So you can see the summary here. By the way, StreamYard just introduced hotkeys, so I'm looking forward to showing or playing with those hotkeys, so I can be a bit smoother with my transitions here. Okay, so yeah, key strategies from the FFS future fuel strategy. Key points: the strategy does not include subsidies or tax incentives to increase uptake of EVs. Increased funding for charging infrastructure is expected to create 2,600 jobs over 3 years. The government says improved battery technology will be the key to lowering the cost of EVs. Okay. So, bottom line is basically, judging by today's voting, 128 people voted. I might just end the poll now. The vast majority of you said that, in fact, 56% said you strongly disagree with what has the policy that has been released. 25% that said that you disagree, and only 10% said you strongly agree, and 7% said you agree. So, and at least I think 2 or 3 people have said they clicked the wrong button for strongly agree. They wanted to click strongly disagree. So, I would say the overwhelming majority of viewers tonight disagree with the government's announcement that more can be done. And we've also learnt that the New South Wales government, along with the ACT government at least, have gone one step further and have signed the COP, Conference of Parties 26 agreement about electric vehicles, and they pledged to increase their fleet electric vehicles as well, which will help flood the second-hand market in years to come. So well done to the New South Wales government too. Good stuff for doing that. Well, guys, I guess that's it for me tonight. Yeah, I'll just quickly take this one question from a new viewer. Hey, Tom, Russell Keys, first time on live stream. Hello there, Russell. I've ordered an SL Plus, which is a base, and delivery time is 8 to 12 weeks. What are the chances of getting one sooner due to cancelled orders? I think they're pretty slim. Well, I think there are some cars coming in later this month in December, so there might be some inventory cars potentially. Anyway, keep in touch with your rep from Tesla. They might be able to offer it to you earlier than that. Well, guys and girls, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Appreciate people who have signed on as members tonight. Really appreciate that. I know Peter V and Paul McFawn did tonight. Great to see that. Membership does allow you a few perks to the channel, including the use of emojis and buttons as well. And yeah, appreciate people who've actually bought a super chat comment as well. That's really helped. And just keep Ludicrous Feed independent. And I hope you've all having a good week. And I hope you enjoy your Friday tomorrow, wherever you're watching. And yeah, Gaffer has asked, when will Model Y be out? Yes, the obligatory question. Greg Wilson says, tomorrow. Well, they do change configurators on Fridays, so look out for that tomorrow, guys. You never know. It might be tomorrow. I don't have the inside knowledge. I don't know, but maybe it is tomorrow. Maybe it is tomorrow. All right, guys. Well, that's been a great chat. Appreciate all your comments and all your engagement and all your questions tonight and taking part in the poll. Keeps me going. Makes me want to do more live streams. So appreciate all your support. And yeah, let's get the outro going. But in the meantime, yeah, like I said, I'll be releasing probably a video on the Ioniq 5 very soon, which I had this week. It's been fun. It's been a fun ride. Let's roll. Let's roll the live outro. Here we go. Thanks, guys. And it's been fun chatting with you all about the future fuel strategy, and also about other things as well. We always have a nice question and answer. Thank you to the members, thank you to the viewers, and I hope you all have a fabulous Friday. Fingers crossed for Model Y. You never know. You never know. Anyway, whatever it is, it'll come eventually. Alright guys, take care, stay safe, and as always, happy charging.